We have with us senior Aam Aadmi Party leader Jasmine Shah. His book on the Delhi model of governance was released recently. So we'll be talking to him about the book and also about the upcoming assembly elections in Delhi. Mr. Shah, to begin with, I would want you to tell our readers what do you mean by the Delhi model of governance? How is it different or distinct, or how does it really stand out?
My pleasure to be talking to you, Soni. Um, the Delhi model of governance is dedicated towards bringing a drastic improvement into the quality of life of an average citizen. That's the in brief definition of it. And why is it so distinct is because you see the average, governance in India, as we have seen it by and large in the last few decades, is really divorced from the day-to-day life of a citizen. What does a citizen and average family worry about? They worry about getting good quality education for their children. So in Delhi government, the AAP under Arvind Kejriwal ji has actually worked in providing world-class education even in government schools. They worry about healthcare. What if somebody falls ill? Will they get good healthcare, affordable healthcare? We worked on healthcare reforms. They worry about getting, 24 by 7 electricity, water supply, good public transport. I mean, these are the determinants of the quality of life of an average citizen. Most of the issues that governments today work on or debate on are divorced from these issues, and that is where the Delhi model of governance stands out as fairly unique. At a larger level, if you look at a fundamental approach that Delhi government advocates, it's about investing in human capital. And this is where it stands apart from almost the economic ideology of not just the BJP, but also the Congress, which has largely been about promoting big business and promoting industrial growth. Here's a party, here's a model of governance that fiercely believes in empowering the average citizen, investing. I mean, investing in human capital means, it's health, it's education. I mean, unless your people are going to be educated, how are you going to compete with the best in the world? While at the same time providing a social security net for the most vulnerable. That is where all the free schemes of the AAP government fall in. So that is how I define the Delhi model of governance, and I talk about in this book about the distinctions with all other models, and especially the Gujarat model, which is in some sense the poster child of the trickle down economic approach. Literally the government seems to have checked out of doing anything on health education. I mean, Gujarat today has the worst determinants of health and education across the country. It's in the bottom 5 or bottom 10 amongst all states, yet it is touted as a model of development that everybody should be aspiring to. And I've made the case over here that not only is Gujarat model undesirable, but what can fill that vacuum or what can replace it as something truly desirable in any part of the country is the Delhi model of governance.
Mhm. It's interesting that you should draw a comparison between the Delhi model and the Gujarat model. What made you single out the Gujarat model to talk about
See, it,
in
it
this
is
book?
it is the current flavor. I would believe that the last time any state government, first of all, I think most of our national politics and governance debate tends to be at about central government schemes and policies, while most of the governance actually happens at the state level. If you think about in the last 10, 15 years, has there been what other states have actually made the case that we have a model of development that others should emulate? And there, I would say the credit goes to Gujarat model because there was heavy propaganda around it. Mr. Modi's rise to power was on the back of the claim that, look, what I've done miracle in Gujarat, and give me an opportunity and I'll do that with the country. It is for that reason. And because Gujarat model, I also believe, is by and large the blueprint that the country is headed towards. And I think that makes the contrast with the Gujarat model all the more important, because if you look at what's happening in the country, we have completely reposed our faith in big business houses that give them lakhs and crores of loan waivers, give them a huge top corporate tax cuts in the name of PLI scheme, give them 2 to 3 lakh crores of incentives. But you look at the health and the education expenditure of the central government, and I put all the statistics out in my book. It's actually declining, and the worrying thing is that even after a pandemic like COVID, where almost all countries around the world are increasing their, investments in public health infrastructure, India is perhaps the only country that has reduced its expenditure in health. Today, we rank 170 out of 180 countries in our per capita health spending. And where do we get these ideas from? We get these ideas from the person who's called the face of the Gujarat model, which is Mr. Narendra Modi. So I think this is not about two individuals, but I think it's almost two distinct ideologies of governance that need to be looked at, in contrast with each other.
Yeah. You speak about the Delhi model being an example of trickle up economics. So, is any data to really show how the Delhi model has helped the economy of Delhi in the last
Yeah,
10 years?
yeah, absolutely. So let me first define for your readers and your viewers what I really mean. Uh, so I think everybody is largely familiar with the trickle down model, which both the UPA regime as well as the current BJP regime is following, which is by and large focused. Like if you want to talk about how do nations grow, the belief in trickle down is that give lavish incentives to the big business houses so that they can make investments, they can offer jobs, and hopefully that prosperity will slowly trickle down, maybe in a few generations to the Aam Aadmi, so to say. Has that really worked? And I present plenty of data in the work of the French economist Thomas Piketty, which shows that India is today one of the most unequal countries in the world. Over the last 3 decades, especially, the average wealth owned by the average income of the top 10 percentage is growing further and further apart. I mean, they're sharing, they're taking a larger share of the national income, and the bottom 50 percentage, their share is regressing. So it's not worked for us. Trickle up economics is a antidote almost to trickle down. Here, the belief is that the government just needs to create a fair playing field for all business houses. You don't need to empty the state coffers for the business houses. They will, they will prosper if they are competing well. What the government's duty instead is to invest in strengthening and empowering the lower and the middle classes. That's where the bulk of your population is. Provide them an opportunity to compete with the best in the world. That's why we invest in health, in education, even quality 24 by 7 electricity. I mean, it's astounding that in India we hear the point of Vishwaguru and developed India. I mean, these jargons are thrown, but you look at the reality just a few kilometers outside Delhi. If you go to UP or Haryana, you'll see rural areas getting 6 to 8 to 10 hours of power cuts even in 2024. Even in many of the BJP ruled states, hardly any state has 24 by 7 electricity. So that is what we believe in. At the same time, so we believe that if you strengthen the masses, if you give them good quality education, healthcare, public services, a I mean their contribution to the economy will grow over time. Second, as part of Delhi model, we also believe in putting some money in the pockets of the Aam Aadmi. And the reason there is that any kind of incentives or transfers that happen to the bottom of the pyramid, they actually tend to spend it. So it creates demand in the economy. If they are now, what happens is if you give, and I think the recent economic data of the country shows that in the last 4 years, the corporate profits have increased by 4 times, but the average wages of the people haven't increased. So corporates will only corner their profits. They are not going to spend more on it. But if you give to the poor, if you give to the Aam Aadmi, that money is going to circulate and find its way back in the economy. So this is the theory. And in reality, as you said, is that data, I present all the economic data of Delhi, that while Delhi has made record investments in human capital, we are the only government in the history of India to be spending consistently around 40% of our budget in health and education alone. At the same time, if you see our revenues in Delhi government's budget has increased by 2.5 times in the last 10 years, which is unprecedented in Delhi's history. Delhi has the lowest debt to GDP ratio. So we are the least indebted state in the country. We have the highest minimum wages, which again affects the Aam Aadmi. Gujarat has amongst the lowest minimum wages in the country. We have the lowest inflation in the country. And we have amongst the lowest unemployment in the country. Our growth is also at par with national average. So I think I'm making the case that through this book, that the Delhi model of governance is not just a model of social reform. It's not just about health and education. It is actually a well-rounded model of governance that works for the people and that works for the economy both.
In the book, you write about the genesis of the Delhi model. You say that it lay in a Twitter reaction of Arvind Kejriwal to this announcement about the Make in India campaign by Narendra Modi.
Yeah.
So, if you could elaborate a bit on
So
that.
I would say it was Genesis is not that. Genesis is the people behind Aam Aadmi Party. I think that was the first public indication of. See, I mean, I think we have to take ourselves back to the years of 2015, 2013, when the AAP first broke into the political scene, and obviously it formed a minority government in 2013. In 2015, when it formed a government with 67 out of 70 seats, the mood was upbeat not just in Delhi but across India. Right? People were watching as to here's a rookie party out of nowhere. It has swept and it has almost obliterated both BJP and Congress. BJP got 3 seats. Congress was wiped out in 2015. It still is wiped out even today. So the hope was that these people will come up with something radically new. And AAP actually promised that. AAP said, "Hum vyavastha parivartan karenge," which means we are not here to just fix, on the margins of how government works. We'll actually turn the governance upside down. We'll bring a systemic change in governance. The fundamental philosophy of AAP and Make India First comes from the background of people like Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Sisodia. These were people who have struggled, who have seen the average life of an Aam Aadmi. Mr. Kejriwal obviously was an income tax IRS officer. He gave up his job. He worked for 10 years in the slums of Delhi. So they knew that what the people care about and what people really want help from their government is not some beautiful ideology ki desh aise viksit hoga. They want them to fix their water, their electricity, schools, healthcare. Similarly, Mr. Sisodia came from decades of journalism, where he was covering and reporting about schools, and he could never fathom. I spoke to him when I was writing this book, and he said, "मुझे कभी समझ में नहीं आता था कि इतने लोग सरकारी स्कूलों में अपने बच्चों को भेजते हैं. Why don't governments try to do anything? It almost seems like government has checked out of government school system." So when they came to government, they made their primary agenda not to build just, I mean, AAP has invested a lot in flyovers and infrastructure and stuff, but the primary agenda was to work on issues that can empower the Aam Aadmi. And the first indication I talk about is, I think, in September of 2015, just a few months after Mr. Kejriwal became the CM in 2015, when Prime Minister Modi announced the Make in India scheme. And he was like, we are going to give a lot of incentives and we want people to, companies to come and manufacture in India, and we are going to give a lot of incentives. And Mr. Kejriwal immediately responded to that, saying that more than Make in India, we need Make India first. If you invest in our people, if you make sure that our people are highly educated, highly skilled, then you don't have to throw away these benefits. People will automatically come and make investments in India. And I think that in that one Twitter exchange, you get two profoundly different visions for India as to how will India finally grow and become a developed nation.
Uh, if the elections in 2020 were a test of whether the Delhi model has worked or not, what is the significance of the Delhi model in these elections? Do you think the people will still vote on the basis of whether the Delhi model has worked or whether anti-incumbency will be
Yeah.
a more overpowering kind of, a factor in these
See,
elections?
the obviously in any electoral battle, the verdict only the people can declare. But AAP has an abiding belief in what we call as Kaam ki Rajniti. Today, Aam Aadmi Party is the only political party whose entire ideology is centered around its work. We are the first political party back in 2020 when we went to elections, when Arvind Kejriwal ji, famously said that vote for me only if I have done work. If I have not done work, if my work has not touched your lives or improved your lives, don't vote for me. We have not seen any political leader make a plain and simple statement. I mean, this is what politics should have always been about. Even this in this election, for us, the greatest currency is our work. Obviously, at the end of 10 years, some anti-incumbency steps in. Not to say that there has been tremendous, I would say, an unprecedented attempt to derail the mandate of the elected government by the BJP at the center, which has tried to snatch powers, disempower, derail schemes, influence officers. I write a little bit about that in the final chapter of my book. But all said and done, despite all these things, we are very confident that people of Delhi know that in the last 10 years, the situation of Delhi and their lives have been transformed in multiple ways. And for us, and we will see again in the result of these elections, we always will continue to chase this Kam ki Rajniti, and the entire will seek a mandate only around our work.
You write in your book that fighting corruption is an important element of the Delhi model. There have been many allegations of corruption against AAP leaders. Do you think that is going to sort of overshadow your welfare schemes in this election?
No, I don't believe so. In fact, let me also put in context, and when you say this war on corruption, while defining the Delhi model of governance, I've highlighted three pillars of, what did the AAP government do to establish the Delhi model of governance. Number one, as I said, is to invest in human capital. Number two is to declare a war on corruption. And I actually say that this platitude of zero tolerance on corruption means nothing, because corruption, you open your eye and you'll see corruption in government. So it's all around you, and only an activist government and a chief minister can try and reduce it or eliminate it. And the third strong pillar of Delhi model is fiscal prudence, how we manage to keep our fiscal position very strong. As far as war and corruption is concerned, government, like the AAP government, has done multiple initiatives to eliminate corruption. We talk about doorstep delivery of services. No other government did. Imagine that you can actually shut down government offices, and if a citizen wants any government scheme or a benefit, then the government will send somebody at your home to fill up the papers, just like a bank does to open an account with tablet and stuff. So we did all of that. What you are referring to is the worst kind of political vendetta that any political party in India has seen in the last 10 years. Because obviously, in the recent public memory, the Delhi excise case has made the rounds at the national news. But in the last 10 years, more than 200 cases have been filed against our leaders, all of them by BJP ruled federal agencies. We are talking about the CBI, we are talking about ED by the IT. Now, in not one of these cases has there been any conviction. So, yes, you can, as a political party, and everybody knows today that BJP has made a mockery of the institutions of law enforcement agencies, CBI and ED. Even, in fact, while Mr. Kejriwal got bail in September of this year, uh, the Supreme Court called out the CBI as a caged parrot, a reference it made 11 years back. So clearly nothing has changed. And just because BJP has leveled these allegations doesn't mean anything. Over the last 10 years, in each of these cases, it has been found that there is absolutely no instance. Many of them have not even started trial, because the entire attempt by the BJP was to paint or try and disturb the perception of AAP. But the fact that today all our leaders are out of jail, the so-called liquor policy case is completely gone into a cold storage. It actually shows that they could eventually find nothing, even if they had found 1 rupee of hera feri, as we call, some kind of illegal activity. Uh, Clearly, we would not have been given the kind of relief we have been, and BJP would have been pursuing those cases. So that idea was essentially through these cases to finish off Aam Aadmi Party. In fact, their hope was that by putting all our top leaders in jail, the party will disintegrate. Many people in BJP tell us that nothing happened. Everybody is now out, and we are very sure of winning a strong mandate again in there.
In the Lok Sabha elections, Arvind Kejriwal, was given this concessional bail to come out, conditional bail to come
Conditional.
out and campaign in the elections. But the Aam Aadmi Party failed to win any seat in Delhi. So, do you think that there is a sort of an image problem for Arvind Kejriwal and the party on the ground? And will that be a factor in this
No,
election?
if you look at it, Delhi has always voted in a, I call it a weird way, because I'm not able to explain it very clearly. Even in 2020, I mean, in 2019, we know Delhi voted all 7 seats went to BJP in the Lok Sabha election. But what happened in the Vidhan Sabha election? We got 63 out of 70 seats. So somewhere the people of Delhi, when it comes to the central election, they see the BJP ruled coalition, the NDA, and obviously they have a prime minister face there, as a better option to govern the nation. I'm talking about the voters of Delhi. Uh, as far as the India alliance is concerned, I feel there were some mistakes done in terms of not projecting a prime ministerial face at all. At least in Delhi, I feel that sentiment is always there. People want to know who's going to be the captain of the ship. So, but we have seen repeatedly 2015 elections, 2020, that Lok Sabha is a completely different ball game. It's not a commentary on the image of or the perception of Aam Aadmi Party or Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. When it comes to Delhi elections, people of Delhi are very clear as to who has actually brought about these kind of changes and reforms in their lives, who has given free electricity, 24 by electricity, who has fixed government schools, mohalla clinics. So they're very clear whom are they voting for and for what purpose.
Also in this election, there's a lot of talk about Sheesh Mahal, the
Mm,
allegedly ostentatious kind of renovation that was carried out in the chief minister's residence when Arvind Kejriwal was
mm.
living there. So, how does your party respond to that?
No, so again, I think the attempt of BJP, I mean, obviously we know who's making these allegations. It's the BJP that day and night. See, the attempt of the BJP is never to enter into an electoral battle on the basis of work. So they will find issues to digress from the narrative of work. Because today, if we ask, if we sit down with BJP and say, okay, you tell about, it's not that BJP has no powers in Delhi. As the central government, the entire law and order situation is under the BJP. Everybody knows. But in the last 10 years, I mean, we are seeing the law and order. I mean, there is a complete state of lawlessness today in Delhi. Every single day, you see open firing, extortion calls happening, people being murdered in the state. Delhi is the highest incidences of rape in the country. More than 15 children are kidnapped every day in Delhi. And if you look at the conviction rate, I was actually looking at the NCRB data and I cite it in this. First of all, after the horrific 2012 Nirbhaya rape incident, we thought that things will change in Delhi at least. But the instances of rapes have almost doubled since 2012 and 2023. And if you look at the conviction rates for crimes against women, it's barely 2 to 3%. So 97% people are not being brought to justice. And in anywhere else in the world, if in a capital city, this is the state of law and order, the police chief or that home minister should have been fired or would have been fired by now. He would have been sacked. But not in Delhi. Why? Because BJP doesn't like to talk about their work. And that is why sometimes it is this, sometimes they will bring up some other issue. I mean, since you asked the specific question, let me put this on record that for the first time, the Chief Minister of Delhi's official residence was built. Earlier, there was no designated residence of the Chief Minister of Delhi. And it's an entire complex. It has work offices, office complexes, meeting halls. So, yes, I mean, but it is not anything personal about Mr. Kejriwal. The moment he quit the chair of the CM, the next CM that will get that particular residence. So, again, as I say, for us, the focus is on issues that affect the day-to-day life of the people. This has no impact on the day-to-day life of the people. You ask the people on the streets of Delhi, do they care about it? They say, नहीं हमें बताए कि हमारी महंगाई का क्या इलाज है? When will we get jobs? When we'll get good health, education? So those are the things that we believe people care more about.
You write in your book about the tussle with the center and the confrontations that you've had with the lieutenant governor. So, what really is a solution to this? Because the laws have been changed and the bureaucracy is completely under the lieutenant governor. So, how do you see this entire situation playing out? Uh, how
Yeah.
do you plan to carry out your agenda in this kind of a scenario?
So see, there are two things. I mean, irrespective of whether the governance structure in Delhi changes or not, and I'll come to, as you asked, how will this situation resolve itself? I'll come to that. But even if the governance, or let's say the powers that the Delhi CM has as on date, AAP is the best place to actually do things for the people of Delhi. We have shown that in the last 10 years, with the kind of restricted powers that Delhi CM has, I believe it is a story of hope and optimism for, I hope, for people who read the Delhi model book, that here's a government that not only had less powers to begin with every passing years, powers were taken away from us. Yet we have managed through sheer political will and clarity of purpose to transform some of these sectors, which the scale of change that Delhi has seen, not even a full state has been able to show. And we have shown it in only 10 years. So, irrespective of how many powers are more taken away or not, if the political will is there, if you have educated leadership, people committed to working on the issues that matter to the people, you will see some change. Coming to what is the resolution of this, I state in my book that there's a short-term solution, there's a long-term solution. Short-term is that time and again, whenever this matter has gone to the Supreme Court, not one, but two constitution benches of the Supreme Court has ruled in the favor of the elected government of Delhi, not Arvind Kejriwal. Today he is the CM, tomorrow somebody else could be. Supreme Court has said that under a democracy, in a democracy, once the people have put their ballot and they have chosen their chief minister and government, it is that government should have the powers. Selected people like the lieutenant governor, whose lieutenant governor is a nominated individual. You cannot centralize while you have an elected chief minister and a government, you can't put powers under the selected person. What has BJP done? Every time the Supreme Court has given a mandate to the elected government, they've gone around, they have turned it on its head, passed some act or law which should ex ante should have been regarded unconstitutional. Unfortunately, the wheels of justice in Supreme Court are slow. We have challenged both these acts, one in 2021 and 23 of the central government, and for both of these, the benches are yet to be constituted. So my hope is if Supreme Court should work faster when a party like BJP is trying to erode the validity of a democratically elected government. In the long term, I propose a solution that carve out the small 3 to 4% landmass in the center of Delhi, which is the New Delhi Municipal Council area, which comes under the central government, make it a full UT. But the remaining 95% of Delhi should be regarded as a full state. You cannot have this kind of a, and I make the case, I compare it with many other cities. No city has this kind of a khichdi or a, completely mishmash kind of a governance where you have five people controlling 20 agencies and it's a complete mess. I have seen it, I have worked it from the inside. It's injustice eventually to the people of Delhi because when they go to vote, they believe that that vote will change their destiny, only to realize that no, somebody else is controlling their destiny. So, that I believe is the only long term solution.
In this context, I would like to ask you about the latest development, which is two departments of the Delhi government
Hmm.
having issued public notices stating that two schemes, which are kind of, the mainstay of your campaign in these elections, the cash transfer scheme for women and free healthcare for
Yeah,
people over 60.
yeah.
So they have issued public notices saying that these two schemes have not been notified. So effectively, they are saying that Chief Minister Aishi and former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who launched these two schemes by registering people,
Hmm.
for these two schemes, are lying to the people.
No, it is. It doesn't mean that. You look at how ridiculous this has become. The bureaucracy of Delhi has made itself a joke of the nation. What did the AAP government, what did the Aam Aadmi Party do? We are approaching elections. We are determining our agenda for the next 5 years. So we announced two schemes, and when we announced both these schemes, we said these are our electoral promises. We will implement them once the government comes to power. We were very clear. These were launched as party promises. Cash transfer for women and the Sanjeevani Yojana, which is free healthcare for senior citizen above 60 years in any hospital, private or government, and without any upper limit of the spending. BJP, and this is what I mean by controlling, because the bureaucracy comes under the LG to create confusion in the minds of people. The bureaucracy is coming and now saying and issuing in no government an ad is put out without the approval of the minister. In Delhi, the moment you twist the LG and the BJP can twist the arms of the bureaucracy, they'll do everything in violation. They are saying that no, these schemes are not implemented right now. Who is claiming them to be implemented? We are saying these are our promises. We will do just like Mr. Kejriwal when he fought the 2015 elections. He said, "मैं बिजली free करूंगा." उन्होंने किया. They said कि मैं पानी free करूंगा. We will change सरकारी schools, healthcare system and all. And we have worked on all this. So this is a promise that we have made. Bureaucrats coming and saying, no, there are no schemes like this. You're making a fool out of yourself. And it shows the joke that this kind of a model of governance where the bureaucracy of a government is not reporting to the CM, but is doing something at the behest of their political opponent. And I think it's a joke, not just on Delhi, but on India, because we are Delhi. We are talking about the national capital. This is where the entire foreign media is. You see all the ambassadors of the country, and they're saying that this is the kind of stuff they spend their time on, and money has been wasted. They put out ads with lakhs of rupees in papers only to make a political point.
The claim being made is that the Aam Aadmi Party is actually misleading the people, saying that they are being registered for these two schemes, whereas this is like an electoral
We are not saying
outreach
no,
on
no, we
part
are
of the
no, no.
party.
So absolutely, we are saying that if you are interested in enrolling for this scheme, let us know. Our karyakartas will come to you. Right? So you're registering your intent. Party also wants to know how bigger is the demand for something like this. So this is the classic ploy of the BJP. Everywhere, they have no positive agenda for the people of Delhi. If we have come up with two schemes, they should have come up with four schemes. They should also go to the people and popularize their schemes. And they've been doing that. In Jharkhand, they came up with a scheme before the elections and they started registering people. It's all there in social media. In Chhattisgarh, they did that. But in Delhi, when Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party are making announcement, their entire attempt is how do we stop them? And this is the kind of dirty politics that BJP is known for. And I think people of Delhi are seeing through it because in the last 10 years, there's a reason why they have voted for Aam Aadmi Party and why BJP and Congress both have been soundly rejected. And I feel we're just going in the same direction. So in some sense, we don't mind it that, all that BJP is busy doing day and night is to demonize and to call names of Aam Aadmi Party rather than presenting an alternate vision for the national capital.
Turning to elections, around one third of the Aam Aadmi Party MLAs have not been renominated. Does this indicate a sense of anti-incumbency against the Aam Aadmi Party government?
No, so I think it's part of an electoral strategy. Many of our MLAs have, won three times. I mean, three terms is a long term for an MLA. I mean, 2013 also they have won, 2015 and 2020. And our entire politics revolves around our work. Uh, so when we give out tickets or when we are determining who should contest, we do a lot of surveys. We go hear what people are saying, and many times uh, people may like the state government. People may follow and appreciate the work of the government and what, let's say, the CM is doing. But if on the ground, if they feel their MLA is not accessible for whatever reason, so work related anti-incumbency is different. Many times MLAs get rated on other factors altogether. How approachable are you? Do you take my calls? Are you moving around between the people? So sometimes those reasons may be behind disaffection with their MLAs, and it's the job of a political party to actually respond to that in a manner that tells the people that we care for you. We hear you.
Former Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sodia shifted from Patparganj to Jangpura, and the BJP pounced upon this to say that he's run away from Patparganj because he was afraid he would lose from there. So,
Again,
is
I
it a
think
strategy?
it is an electoral strategy, and I think we put out the clarification also on that. That before Mr. Sisodia's decision was announced, a week before that, we had a very prominent educationist, Mr. Avadoja, who's a very popular motivational speaker, a UPSC, teacher. He had a coaching institute. He was very popular amongst the students. And when he came into the party decided that a face like him, and being a party that prioritizes and talks about education, being the only party that talks about reforming education, we wanted him to run. And the decision was finally taken that Patparganj is a seat. I mean, Manish Sisodia is known today as the finest education minister in India. His political journey began from Patparganj. So the people there understand the value of education. And to have a Avadoja fight there would make a lot of sense. And when that decision was taken, it was like, okay, where should Mr. Sisodia run from? And Jangpura and Patparganj are not very far away. So we decided we should. So I think it's a part of internal electoral strategy to also accommodate Mr. Avadoja and obviously to make sure that, Mr. Sisodia is able to fight in a seat.
New Delhi, which is Arvind Kejriwal's constituency, is set to see a triangular fight. Congress has fielded Sandeep Dikshit, and BJP is likely to field Parvesh Verma from there. So
They've not announced it yet.
not announced it yet. So how do you look at the New
I think
Delhi?
it's very clear. It's the battle between the Aam Aadmi and the Khas sons of two former chief minister, and I think BJP is known for it. Uh, at the first instance, I would say that Congress is a non-starter in Delhi. I mean, today uh, they have no organization, they have no sangathan. These are old relicts of Congress netas who are still sticking around. You see no new blood, you see no fresh blood. All of these are very old leaders. You'll find people in their 60s and 70s only contesting. But still, I think ultimately the way I see it personally is that it's a classic fight. Here's a man, a self-made person, Mr. Kejriwal, who uh, came to national politics out of no legacy, uh, created a model of governance, not just built a national party from scratch, but built a model of governance that is today spoken about all over India and all over the world. I mean, We all remember that New York Times did a cover page story on Delhi's education model. Never has it happened. We all know that US First Lady Melania Trump, when she came to India, she insisted that I want to go to a Delhi government school and sit in a happiness class. We've had two former UN Secretary Generals, Ban Ki-moon and Kofi Annan, visit a Mohalla clinic in Delhi. They wanted to see the innovation. So here's a person, here's a chief minister who has created all this work. And against him, the best people BJP could think of nominating are nothing but sons of two former chief ministers who have actually nothing to back them. What has been their track record in delivery or governance? There's really nothing apart from their names.
Was the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party ever in talks for an alliance for the
Not
coming election?
never, not for in Delhi.
Okay. In this context, I would like to ask you about what Congress leader Ajay Makan said yesterday. He said that it was a mistake on part of the Congress to have supported the Aam Aadmi Party in 2013 to form the government and also ally with the Aam Aadmi Party in the Lok Sabha elections.
Yeah, so I think it was, never Miss Rajay Makan's call whether to ally with the Aam Aadmi Party or not. He was, if Mr. Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi says that, then it would have a different level of seriousness. I think the kind of things that Ajay Makan says, nobody frankly takes him very seriously. I think just yesterday he called Arvind Kejriwal an anti-national. I mean, that's why these are derelicts of a earlier generation of Congress leadership who till date have never called any BJP leader an anti-national, but they have special affection for Aam Aadmi Party and they call our people terrorists, anti-national, and that is why I think Congress has been obliterated from Delhi. Again, the same thing BJP does, the same thing Congress does. They also have no vision to offer for the people of Delhi. Every day they will come and make these statements and abusing Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, and I think people of Delhi are too smart to see what's happening.
But what does this, constant attacks and counterattacks between the Congress and the AAP in Delhi mean for the India alliance?
I think that's a question that Congress should answer for itself. In fact, today we did a press conference and we have taken a very strong objection to Mr. Ajay Makan's statement. And we have given an ultimatum to Congress. We've given a public ultimatum to the Congress that take action, take disciplinary action against Ajay Makan. And if you don't do that, we will work along with other India Alliance leaders to make sure that Congress is not part of India Alliance. Because clearly they don't have any agenda to take the country forward. If this is the kind of lowly attacks you will fall in, which even BJP doesn't do, by the way. There was a time when BJP used to call Arvind Kejriwal a terrorist. Now, and after that, the Delhi results happened, and they realized that you can't call a sitting chief minister these names and get away with it. Congress is falling into this trap.
Your rivals claim that even if the Aam Aadmi Party wins in this election, Arvind Kejriwal cannot go back as chief minister. They say that the bail conditions set by Supreme Court are such that he will not be able to function as chief minister. So he's basically, misleading the people by saying that, he's seeking a certificate of honesty from them and would become CM if the party wins.
Again, I think this is more Congress than BJP making these statements. Again, I would say, these are statements that people don't, they can see through this. Has the Supreme Court told Mr. Kejriwal you cannot take oath as the chief minister? They have not, right? They have put some restrictions in terms of, what files he can sign, what he cannot. And as a chief minister with no portfolio, none of the things that he was doing earlier, he's barred from as a result of the Supreme Court order. So again, these are when a political party, when our opponents don't have any agenda, a positive agenda for the people of Delhi, they feel that by trying to tarnish the image of Mr. Kejriwal or putting some confusion in the mind of voters, they will get some votes. But Delhi has time and again shown that it is beyond these kinds of negative politics. People of Delhi will come with those who have a positive agenda about Delhi and about their families. And today, we would have liked to see these parties actually articulate a vision for Delhi. But unfortunately, it seems like the same story is repeating again. We are the only ones who are talking about Sanjeevani Yojana, Baba Saheb Ambedkar scholarship scheme. We are talking about the Mahila Samman Yojana. Everybody else is just indulging in this kind of dirty politics and name calling.
So if Arvind Kejriwal will become chief minister, question then that arises is, what about Atishi? What will her role be? Because she's chief minister right now. So what will her role be
So,
if you
so
come to
that's a question that only the future Chief Minister of Delhi can answer because it is his prerogative as to how he chooses. But Atishi has played a very pivotal role. Let me say the last 2 years have been the toughest in the life of Aam Aadmi Party. Obituaries were being written when all our, number one, Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Sisodia, Mr. Sanjay Singh, Mr. Satyendra Jain. No political party has seen this kind of uh, uh, all-out attack, vindictive politics of this nature. And at that time, we had our leaders like Atishi, Saurabh Bharadwaj, Gopal Rai, many of them who stood up and actually ran the government, made sure that things did not get derailed. So she's a valued colleague. She has shown her mettle in more occasions than one, and I'm very sure the party will take that into consideration.
the AAP has raised the issue of deletion of voters
Yeah.
from the electoral lists in Delhi. You took up the issue with the Election Commission. So are you satisfied with the action taken by the EC or the assurance given by the EC in this regard?
So satisfied with the assurance, I must say the action is yet to be seen. And let me tell your viewers and readers that this is possibly the biggest threat to democracy. I mean, apart from questions being raised on the EVM, um, one huge way in which BJP is trying to subvert elections these days. And we have seen just some reporting emerge in the last few days that even in Lok Sabha election, they managed to, wherever seats are being won by a narrow margin, they do two things. One is cut huge thousands and thousands of voters from the so-called vote bank of an opponent, while also add thousands of fake voters. You know, what pressure they put on these officials, we can understand because BJP knows how to threaten anyone and everyone. In Delhi, I'll give just one example of the Shadra Assembly constituency where 11,000 votes were being cut, and these are applications given by the local BJP person on his letterhead that these 11,000 votes need to be cut in one assembly. Now, this assembly, Aam Aadmi Party won by 5,200 votes the last time. And when we went and checked the sample of these people, 90% of them turned out to be AAP voters, and 75 to 80% of them actually existed. The others, it was problematic to find their addresses. But that's the scale of subversion going on. So we went, we presented all the facts and figures. I think around 3,000 pages of documents were given to the Chief Election Commissioner. I was there in that delegation of AAP led by Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. We were assured that ECI is reinforcing these messages to all its staff that no deletion will happen unless and until it's scrutinized at multiple levels and unless and until a delegation of all political parties goes on the ground and verifies. So we like the assurance. I think we are still seeing how it plays out on the ground because this is a daily battle. This is happening in each and every assembly constituency. Every day, hundreds and hundreds of names are being put forth for deletion, and only by BJP people and by no other political party.
In the end, I want to ask you, how many seats are you hoping to win this time? You won 67 seats in
Yeah.
2015, 62 in 2020. So this time round, what is your expectation?
So, see, as a political party that prides itself on our work and which is very confident that we have done something which people truly appreciate and acknowledge, we will always hope to get as resounding a mandate as we have the last two times, but we don't take any election lightly. I'm not going to sit here and project what seats. Our attempt will be to win each and every seat. And we only hope that people of Delhi and the voters of Delhi will be able to differentiate between a political party that is truly working to safeguard their interests. Even if we are fighting to deliver initiatives and schemes for them versus a political party that has evaded any responsibility or accountability for their lives, especially in the issue of law and order, and which every day is only indulging in dirty politics and mudslinging.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.